second. I need to move this because it has a kid's name on it. Hi, welcome to episode number 13 of Learn to Read with Bruce. It's Valentine's Day 2012, and I have a special surprise or a special tribute to that at the end of the show today. But we're going to start off with a song that's not really a very Valentine's-y song, but it is an oldie but goodie. A lot of people think it was written by Johnny Cash, but it was not. It was made famous by him, but it was written by a guy named Shel Silverstein. You may have heard of him. He wrote a lot of songs that other people made famous. He wrote this one, Coming Up. He wrote Queen of the Silver Dollar that Emmylou Harris made a hit. He wrote Put Another Log on the Fire, and he also wrote the Unicorn song. But this one we're going to do today is one of my favorites. Kids at school always liked it. It's kind of a funny old song, and it's just a good oldie but goodie called The Boy Named Sue. So here we go. Kevin's going to move the paper down the words. You'll have to follow pretty quickly to stay with them because it goes rather rapidly. You should have already done your exercises and your eyes should be ready. So here we go. Wait till we can see those words there. It's kind of dark, Jerry. Oh, there we go. Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him 'cause he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought that it was quite a joke, and it got a lot of laughs from lots of folks. Seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard and my wits got keen, roaming from town to hide my shame. But I made me a vow to the moon and stars, I'd search the honky-tonks and bars and kill that man that give me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I'd just hit town and my throat was dry, and I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at a table dealing studs sat the dirty, mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother'd had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die." Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, he come up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. But I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh and then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun and I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me and I saw him smile. And he said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I give you that name and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helped to make you strong. He said, "Now you just fought one heck of a fight, and I know you hate me, and you've got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the beep 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 that named you Sue. What could I do?" I got all choked up and I threw down my gun and I called him my pa and he called me his son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George, anything but Sue. So there you have it, A Boy Named Sue, made popular by Johnny Cash, written by Shel Silverstein. And Kevin, if you could flip up the one with the the highlighting and the underlining. I got lazy on this one. You'll see it is, for one thing, the words are too close together for me to get the lines and everything. So I really only did the title in the first verse. So again, a circle is a Caldwell unit. Underlines are, means it's one of the first 300 of the instant words. And you can see, once again, like most of our songs, most of it you should be able to read independently. You know, Johnny Cash is a name, as is Sue. Daddy's not a hard word. Guitar is kind of a weird word. Empty bottle, blame, and hid is a very simple little word. There's Sue again. Quite, joke, lot, laughs, lots, and folks are not in the instant words, and they don't have units. Whole, gal, I'd, short for I would. Guide, short for guy, guy would. And laugh, I'd, again, bust. Sue, and then the word easy. So you have maybe a few more than usual, but still, it's a song you've probably heard dozens of times, and so a lot of it's just already in your head, just a matter of matching the words to it. I did do the units for the second verse, but as I said, it just got kind of really messy in there trying to put all the lines and so forth. But as I've been saying all along, if you know your units and you know the 300 instant words, you're going to be able to decode most of what you see in common day writing and reading, or literature, I should say. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and continue with the unit song, Kevin. Once again, I urge you to either say them out loud or sing along at home to that tune that Israel Kamakavivo sang, Twinkle Twinkle to, Ahi Vela. That's it in the parentheses there.
May I use your pen there?
Sure. Okay, yeah, Kevin will be able to stay with me on this one on the words because it's a lot slower. A lot prettier, really. In the same key. Able, able. Ack, ack, ale, ale. Ain, ache, ache. And. Art, art, art. Asian, Asian, Asian. A, can, scent, scent. Ed, e, L, n. End, ent. S. Est, ick. Ite, ike. Il, ing. Ip, ish, ist. That's the fastest line of the tune. O, awk. Oi, old. Ooh, or. Ound. Oh, ow. Oi, shun. Ub, And there they are, the 44 units in alphabetical order in the form of a song. They should be getting into your head by now. They start to be almost second nature. Okay. So go ahead, let's put up the sounds and units for lesson number 13, please, Kevin. And we'll see what we have. I believe today it's can and scent for lesson 13. Yeah. Okay. We're good on the screen, Jerry. Can we zoom in some? All right. So lesson 13, our letter is C. Our blends are CL and CR, cl and cr, like clean, or creepy, or crackers, or cloudy. By the way, the letter C is interesting because it can have two sounds, a hard sound or a soft sound. If you notice with our units, can has the hard sound of C, like in the letter K, but scent sounds like an S, like S-E-N-T. So C can fool you. Sometimes it's a hard, sometimes it's a soft sound. The sight words are just they, this, and you. Is that it for that one? Can you slide it down? I think there might be some more, maybe not. No, that's it. Just they, this, and you. And these, again, are all instant words that you've already seen anyway. So it shouldn't be too hard. Okay? So now it's time to read story number 13. And I'll trade places with Kevin. and we'll check it out. And the story number 13 is about the 3-pound pound cake. All right. There's my paper clip holding the place. You see the little sign that says, "This way to Norm's Bakery, best cakes in town." Can I have that half sheet there, please? All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. So, Joy and May want to make a cake for Ray. May tells Joy, "Norm makes the best cakes. We can take a walk to the store to see him." The girls went to the store to talk to Norm. Question, why do you think the girls want to bake Ray a cake? Doesn't really say there, but from previous stories we know that they're all friends. Ray's been having a hard time with his back and his feet, you may recall. There they are at the bakery. That's Norm with his cake mix. We met him, I think, last story. "Mr. Doran, will you bake a cake for Ray?" Joy says. Norm tells the girls, "You can bake the cake." He says he wants to rest. "What? We can bake the cake?" they say. Did the girls expect Norm to let them bake the cake? Doesn't seem like it. Sounds like they're a little surprised when they say, "We can bake the cake," because they have a question mark there. They're not really sure. So here's the girls hard at work. Looks like they're having a little mishap there. Somebody's got their fingers in the batter. They blend and whip and spill. Joy oils the round cake pan. May fills the pan to the brim with the cake blend. Her hand slips and she sticks her fingers in the pan. May licks the sweet blend from her dripping fingers. Joy tests the blend and smacks her lips. "This cake is they say. Do you think Joy was upset with May when May accidentally stuck her fingers in the cake mix? Well, if you look back at the picture, she does look a little upset there, but they both seemed a little happy that they tasted it because they say it's So there's Norm snoozing away on a sack of flour. Looks like they're going to put it up on the windowsill there. The girls bake a round pound cake for Ray. They test the cake in the center with a slender stick. Joy hands the cake to May. "You can lay the cake on the rack in the sill," says Norm. "I need more rest." How did the girls know the cake was done? They tested it in the center with a slender stick, which we would call a toothpick. Now they've left the bakery and they're running into a new character here. And he seems to be smelling some kind of nice smell. He's going sniff, sniff, has a big smile on his face. Let's meet the new character. He's one of my favorites. He's kind of an odd little guy. The girls went to rest. Norm was sleeping and snoring. They can't sleep with his snoring. "We can take a walk," says Joy. By the store, they meet Wee Cloyd. Wee Cloyd says, "What an smell." They tell him what he smells is a cake, and the cake is for Ray. Do you think Wee Cloyd will find the cake? Well, let's find out. There he is inside the store. He's still sniffing. He's got some beets, some corn on the shelves. Wee Cloyd went on into the store for a can of beets and 3 cans of corn. In the store, he smelled the cake more and more. Wee Cloyd says, "They have baked the best smelling cake." No questions on that page. Norm's still snoring because there's his zzz, and Wee Cloyd saying, "Shh." Weekloyd says he will track the scent of the cake. He tracks the scent to the back of the store. He sees Norm resting. Is he sleeping? He creeps by him and sees the cake on the rack in the sill. How does Weekloyd know which way to go to look for the cake? He says he'll track the scent. So he's just following the scent just like a dog would do. Notice the spelling of scent there. C-E-N-T is a penny. If you take the C out, S-E-N-T means to move something from place to place, and S-C-E-N-T means the smell of something. So it has three different spellings for the same sound, but three different meanings for three different words. Again, here we've got the sound of Norm snoring, zzz, snort, snort, zzz. Weekloyd's approaching the cake on the windowsill there. Weekloyd stacks 3 pans by the sill. He stands on the pans and strains to see the cake. Accident time. Norm's still snoring away off to the side. The pans slipped. Weekloyd slipped. The cake slipped. And the cake fell. Weekloyd is clinging to the sill with his fingers. He slips and lands on the pans. Norm is still snoring. Weekloyd is certain he is sleeping well. Did Weekloyd throw the cake down? No, he slipped and fell. How can Weekloyd be certain that Norm is sleeping soundly? Norm is still snoring. Now here's where it gets a little odd. Weekloyd's got a weird way of fixing things. If you look at the packages, he's got black fish lips, assorted bee stingers, and bee wings. And there's the pound cake. The cake has a crack in the center. Weekloyd says he had best fill the crack. He fills the center with bee stingers, bee wings, and black fish lips. He packs crackers and oysters and corn and sand and clay and hay and 3 bent coins into the center of Ray's cake. The center is filled. Why do you think Weekloyd filled in the crack in the cake instead of running out of the store? I guess he doesn't want anybody to suspect him. Now he's leaving the bakery. He's still got his beets and corn. Weekloyd stacks the pans back by the sill and lays the cake back on the rack. He creeps by snoring Norm and takes his beets and corn with him. Now the girls arrived and Norm's still sleeping. Zzz, snort, snork. Joy and May ran back to the store to wake Norm. They shake and shake him. Norm wakes and says, "Have I been sleeping?" They tell Norm, "Ray is on his way to the store. Will he be in to see you?" Was Norm sleeping well? They had to shake him to wake him, so I guess he was sleeping pretty well. And there's Ray, sniffing the cake, and there's Norm holding it up for him. Nobody seems to notice all the stuff sticking out of the crack there. That's pretty amazing. But anyway. Norm says Ray will be in, and he takes the cake from the rack. "What is this, a 3-pound pound cake?" he says to Joy and May. Ray walks in and says, "I smell a pound cake." Joy and May tell him, "This cake is for you, the best mailman." We'll cue the suspenseful music for these questions. Will Ray say the cake is the best? Will the bent coins in the center dent Ray's teeth? Will the hay and fish lips make him sick? Will he say the cake is a 3-pound? Will he say the cake is a 3-pound brick? Why did Norm ask if it was a 3-pound pound cake? Probably weighs a little bit more with the stuff that Weekloyd put in there. The story ends with 4 questions. What do you think the answers to them are? I'll leave that up to you. Will he say it's the best? Will the coins dent his teeth? Will the fish lips and hay make him sick? And will he say it's a 3-pound brick? Don't know. Once again, here are some more words to add for Lesson 13. Copies of these will be available at the Elkins Randolph County Library. Getting some really good ones now. Look, there's ancestry, fancying, some nice long. Oh, look down here. Transcend, transcended, transcendent, transcending, transcript, screenplay. So we're getting into some really good words now because we have all these more and more units, and so we can make bigger and bigger words. All right, so I believe it's time for a practice, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we hit the practice, I've made a little note for myself over here. I have to answer a question that I asked last lesson. I said for folks who are living in Elkins to look for the alliteration on the sign leading out of town on Route 219 North. Did you guys find it?
I've looked.
Haven't looked? Okay, Jerry and Kevin haven't looked. But what you'll see when you're leaving Elkins, there's a big wooden sign on the left, just after you make the right-hand turn or whatever way you turn to go north on 219. And the sign has this written on it. It says, leaving Elkins, where mountain memories are made. And quite a few years back, they had a contest to come up with a slogan for those signs. And there was a woman that made this, and she was very smart because she used a very pretty alliteration here. Mountain memories are made. So I forget the name of the lady. I remember reading about it in the Intermountain, but I thought that was pretty slick. I really like that slogan myself. So that's the alliterative sign at the exit from Elkins heading on 219 North. So our units are can and cent, right, Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to put them over here on the side. And I want to make a clarification here today because I got an email from Ed, and he was a little concerned because sometimes in these questions here, we're actually picking out single vowel sounds, and Ed's program is not about that. We always say the unit as the unit. We don't say ill, we say ale. We don't say and, we say end. But in these exercises are from a different program called Aerobics, and they're designed just to train your hearing, to make you hear little individual sounds and put them together into blends and so forth. So once in a while we'll have that, but when it's coming to the units, we always want to say the unit as one whole piece. That's why it's called a unit. So these actually aren't from Ed's program. These are mine. I did these myself years ago in school, and I just used them with his program because I think they're both good. All right, question number 1, Kevin.
Spell can.
Can?
Mm-hmm.
I just did over there. I'll do it again.
Add a letter to spell cans.
Cans. So at the end we have another letter. Can.
Add the same letter again to spell scans.
Now notice where that letter's going now. Instead of cans, it's scans, so we got to put it at the beginning. Scans. We have an S at the beginning and the end now.
Spell cent.
Cent is already here. Our other unit.
Add 1 unit to spell center.
So we need the unit, which if you recall is ER. So we're going to have CENT, cent, center.
Add another unit to spell centered.
Centered. The ed unit is what we want to add. So we have center, and we have to add the ed, centered. You don't really hear that second E. That's more where it sounds just like a D there.
Spell clinging.
Clinging. Now we're reviewing here. We want the ing unit, and we had introduced the CL blend today. So there's ing, clinging.
Spell crackers.
Crackers. There's our CR blend, Now we need our AC unit, which is ACK. The unit again, and add an S on the end because it's crackers.
Spell clips.
Clips. There's our CL again, We want the IP unit, which is IP. And was it clips you said? So we're doing plurals here, which is more than one, clips.
Spell and put in alphabetical order you, this, they.
Okay, we want you, this, and they. Now, T comes before Y. TH is the same. E comes before I. So to put them in alphabetical order, we're going to go T-H-E-Y, T-H-I-S, and then Y-O-U, separated by commas here. Okay, now we're on the beginning, ending, and middle sounds.
Write the letter of the last sound in dent.
Dent, dent. T.
Write the letter of the last sound in ship.
Ship, ship. P.
Write the letter of the first sound in cannot.
Cannot, cannot. Okay, now, if you put a K, that's okay too, because the K has the hard sound also, but we've been working with the C sound today, so I use the C.
Write the letter of the first sound in percentage.
Percentage, P. P, P.
Write the letter of the third sound in adjacent.
Third sound, A, D, J. Adjacent, A, D, J. J.
Write a word that rhymes with springing.
Springing. Can, scan, center, centered. Clinging. Sounds good for springing.
Write a word that rhymes with plans.
Plans. I've got cans or scans. Either of these, I'm going to go with the shorter one. Cans.
Write a word that rhymes with renter.
Renter. Center is best for renter.
Write the letter of the sound that occurs twice in creek.
Creek. Creek. Starts and ends with that hard C sound or K sound. So we're going to put C or the letter K, because you have K, beginning and end.
Write a word from lesson 13 that has the hard C or K sound twice.
Twice. Once, never, none. Once. Crackers is the only one, because Clips has it once. So crackers would be the word that has the C, K, or the hard C and the K sound twice. Crackers. Okay. Tip number 13. You just put it up on the Elmo there. And there it is. Reading tip number 13, read the signs. As you're riding along the road, read every sign that you see. As you're walking through the school, read every sign that you see. Obviously, the second sentence applies to the students I had in class. First one applies to everybody. I like to look at signs and look for Caldwell units in them, actually. Here's one that you see all over the road. Can you get it right here, Jerry? Mm-hmm. You see signs that say this. Speed limit. You got E, Ed, and M right there. The world is full of Caldwell units. Okay, we're at the instant words now. And I think we're reviewing 151 to 175, and I'm beginning 176 to 200 today, correct? You can slide a page over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 151, are we on here, Jer?
Yep.
Okay, so we got put, end, there's a unit. Does, also pronounced does if you're talking about deer. Another unit, an and Well, there's the L unit. Large, must, big, even, there's another N unit. Such, because, turn, here, there's the unit. Why, ask, went has the nth unit. Men has the N unit. Read or read, either pronounced either way. Need, there's the E and the ed. Land has the and unit. Different has and ent. Home, us, move, and try. No units there, but they're very little words. Okay, sliding on over. Kind, hand has the and unit. Picture, again. We really should say that word again, but not many people in our country do. In Britain they say it again, but here we just say again. Change, there's the and unit, doesn't quite sound like and there. They're off. Play, there's our A unit. Spell, the L unit. Air, away, A unit. Animal, there's your an. House, point has the oi unit. Page, letter has the Mother has an Answer has an and an Found, there's our O-U-N-D, ound unit there. Study, still has the ill unit. Learn has no units, but it has the word ear in it. Fortunately, the word's not learn, it's learn. So that's one of the more irregular words. Should, America, there's an in the middle of it. World has or, and high is one of those words with a silent G. H-I-G-H, the G does not make a sound. And that takes us to the first 200 of the instant words. Okay, so we're 2/3 of the way through them. All right. Okay, we'll do, if we can put up the little page there, we'll search, we'll just do a couple of paragraph or so of the unit searching. And the story there it is.
All right.
Okay, just give me the, just move it down a little bit, have the beginning here. Okay, are we on there, Jerry? Zoom in here on this, like maybe the top part, be good. That's kind of the glare. Why don't we move down here? I see a glare there.
Yeah, down a little further. Middle.
There you go, that's good. Okay, so we just read the 3-pound pound cake. There's our S. Is that showing up? Maybe I need a darker marker.
No,
Oh, we're good, okay. E, ound, ache. Oi, and, ache, or, a, l, oi, or. Ache, est, ache, can, ache. Notice and is in can, but can includes the whole thing, so I just circled can. Okay, or, em, ent, or. Okay, and there's not too many in the question. And, ache, a, and ache. So if you get these from the library, I mean, I really recommend doing this, just searching for the units, and whenever you find the unit, say the unit. That's going to get the unit in your head. The more often you say it. Do not spell it out. I used to have to get on after my students that always want to spell it. Just say ache. I said, no, it's ache. Say ache. You have to say the unit to get the sound in your head. All right? Okay, you can also do the make a word thing. You can just slide that off for a sec. And get an eraser here. You might be getting tired of the make a word, and it's really not as that important. I mean, the main thing is just to practice your reading, practice reading Ed's stories, practice reading the songs. That's what's going to make you a better reader. But we have can and scent. You saw some of the words we made over there. We had the S-C-E-N-T, cans, scans, and so forth. So if you like to play that sort of a game, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do too many more on them because we're sort of pressed for time. The stories are getting longer. Okay, go ahead and write the song a little bit. If you put that up, that's going to be a mess because the words are all so close together. What I'm going to do is write right on top of it today. But I really do recommend that you practice your writing because writing also makes you a better reader. So I'm going to change it from print to cursive. So a boy named Sue. My mother was called Sue by everybody that knew her, but her real name was Elizabeth. My dad's name was Leo, but everybody called him Jim. My name is Bruce, and that's what they call me. I never had an extra name. Getting a little harder here with a smaller print, but that's okay. Once again, you can get copies of this at the library. I'm working on trying to put them online so you can just print them off for yourself if you have a computer and a printer, or maybe a friend can do that. I hope you have a reading pal who's helping you out with this stuff, because it's kind of hard to do everything by yourself like this. This is almost making me feel as cross-eyed as last night when I was finding the instant words on these things. But take your time at your leisure and practice your writing. Even if you just want to print over these letters, that's fine too. The main thing is to help your brain grow by doing these activities. By the way, did you notice the alliterative expression on this line that I'm writing right here? Old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Buh. Okay. There's also some nice, couple of nice similes. If we could go ahead and flip it up there. Up to about the 4th verse, Kevin. Talking literature here, but he kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile, comparing the kick and the bite to that of something else. You compare two on like things like that, it's called a simile. That's a literary term. I'm not too worried about that, but it's kind of neat. These things make reading a lot more interesting when you really get a feel for what the author's trying to tell you. Okay. And the theme, I haven't talked about theme much, but the main theme of this song is a common theme in literature. It's the theme of father and son reconciliation. There's lots of stories about fathers and sons getting some kind of a disagreement, even a violent disagreement, and then at the end of the story they reconcile, and that's what happened here, although it's more in a humorous way. But okay, technology. I'm not going to show you anything today. If you can go ahead and slide the song off, Kevin, I want to give you a web address and just tell you a little bit about it. Here's the web address, www. And I love the spelling, not really, phonics.org. Now, I'm not a big fan of phonics, neither is Ed, but what I noticed with this website, if you type this in and click enter and it goes to the site, then you have the menu and it'll be the top one on your search engine or whatever. They have this big grid. It's got about, 100 squares on it, and every one has a type of word. So you click on any one of those, and what happens is words come up. And what you can do if you want to practice your reading, look at the word, try to read it yourself, then put your cursor over the word, and it will read the word to you. And you can go back and forth and all over the place. There are probably several thousand words you could practice on there. If you have a computer that has sound, you have to have the sound there. So it's just something you can do on your own for something different if you get tired, which you shouldn't ever get tired of reading the songs or the Ed Caldwell stories, but if you should, you can try that website out, www.phonics.com. The thing that makes me even mad, they misspelled phonics. They didn't spell it right. Phonics should be spelled this way, by the way. But they're making a little joke. They're writing it phonetically. Okay, phonics is the real spelling. That's how they wrote it, phonics. Anyway, that's the technology bit for today. I have a little bit of real-life reading from a book called Wider Than the Sky that I just started writing. It's about your brain. And then we'll finish up with my special song. So this is a book called Wider Than the Sky. It's Embracing the Wide Sky. I just got it. It was up at the mall last week and picked it up. It's in the bargain bin. I love the bargain bin. I've read another book by the fellow. He also wrote a book called Born on a Blue Day. He's a very high-functioning person who has what's called Asperger's syndrome. His childhood, fortunately, he had good parents and they didn't make a fuss over it, but he was kind of different than the other kids. But the title comes from this poem, which I'm going to go ahead and read right now, and then I'm going to read a little part of the book here too, it's about your brain. So this is a poem by Emily Dickinson. The brain is wider than the sky, for put them side by side, the one the other will contain with ease, and you beside. The brain is deeper than the sea, for hold them blue to blue, the one the other will absorb as sponges buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God, for heft them pound for pound, and they will differ, if they do, as syllable from sound. Great little poem. Okay. Now if I can find, here it is, the part I wanted to read to you. He's talking about a history of the brain here and brain studies. He's talking about not until the late 1990s. Go ahead that half sheet there, Kevin. I want to put a line under it. Thank you. This paragraph here. Not until the 1990s, however, did scientists uncover evidence. Can we make that at least a little bit bigger, Jerry? How big is it on your screen?
That's okay.
That's good? Yeah. Okay. Not until the late 1990s, however, did scientists uncover evidence that adult neurogenesis occurs in humans, overturning the prevailing view that mature brains only lose cells, not grow new ones. More recently, researchers tracked some of these new neurons in test subjects, measuring the cell's electrophysiological activity to help determine their behavior. The team found that there's a 2-week window, around a month, following the new cell's birth, during which they act like the neurons of a newborn baby. The fact that these adult-born neurons can form connections indistinguishable from neurons that form early in life means that future scientists may be able to find a way to repair damaged brain tissue. That's kind of cool. And then over here, there's just a little bit about changing our minds. Neuroscience's breakthrough discovery of the brain's ability to grow and change throughout our lifetime, known as neuroplasticity, contradicts the classical view of the adult brain as inflexible and mechanical, each part having a fixed, specific role, ticking along monotonously and gradually wearing down with age like a machine. In its place, we find a new model of the adult brain as a supple, dynamic organ capable of responding successfully to injury and even of thinking itself into new synaptic formations. The implications are staggering not only for patients with neurological injury or disease, but for everyone. So it's like I said way back at the beginning, I think I said, you can change your brain during your whole life. That's, if I didn't think you could change your brain, I wouldn't be doing this program, because it's a program for adults who haven't yet learned to read. And there might be people who would say, oh, if they haven't learned to read by the time they're in 3rd grade, forget it. Well, I totally disagree with that. You know, you can change your brain your whole life, and that's what we're trying to do. So enough lecturing on that. It's just a very, I think it's a neat thing to understand. You can keep learning your whole life long. All right. I want to say thanks to everybody again, Jerry on camera, Kevin on Elmo and sound. Thanks to Dee Roth for the use of her room, and Richie Carr for the use of the building, and Dr. Ferris, Randolph County Board of Ed for the use of the building, the facility here. Also, a big thank you, as usual, to Ed Caldwell, who's letting us use his program, the Caldwell Reading Program. And we've got one more song, but it's a different song, Kevin. Changing up on here yet, on you. Okay. Valentine's Day, here's a little suggestion. It's my advice to the guys. It's the advice that Merlin gave to King Arthur in Camelot, which is a musical. It's sort of a different style from my usual style here. But Arthur was all upset because he didn't know what to do with Guinevere. She's driving him crazy. He's driving her crazy. So he's sitting around. He remembers the advice he got when he was young from Merlin, his teacher. And he breaks into song on how to handle a woman. How to handle a woman. There's a way, said the wise old man, a way known by every woman since the whole rigmarole began. Do I flatter her? I begged him answer. Do I threaten or cajole or plead? Do I brood or play the gay romancer? Said he smiling, no indeed. How to handle a woman? Mark me well, I will tell you, sir. The way to handle a woman is to love her. Simply love her. Merely love her. Love her. Love her. So, happy Valentine's Day to all. Jerry, we forgot to zoom in on my Elmo tie, the little red guy. He's the perfect Valentine's mascot. I don't know if they can see him or not. There we go. Elmo wishes